Ask for the truth on behalf of Josie Aguilar concerning relationship issues. And ask for guidance and insight in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the truth, always. And we cut the deck for you there, Josie, and I'm going to now move things to the side. Then we're going to deal out 3 cards for you. The first card we deal is in the position of the past. In this particular case, it's the recent past. A period of time between now and roughly this time last month. I usually say a moon phase between now and a moon phase behind. The period of time it takes the moon to do one cycle, often referred to as a moonth. The next card we place here in the middle, and that's the present, isn't it? And the present is roughly, I suppose you could say 3 or 4 days behind, 3 or 4 days ahead, that sort of week period, as in 7 days type week. That sort of timeline anyway. Not exactly, it could be just even now and tomorrow, I don't know. It could be yesterday, today, tomorrow. The timing is, of course, a bit of a dark art. It's all proportional according to the situation. And then the next card we place just here, that's in the position of your immediate future. Just as the recent past energy there vibrates with the last month, this vibrates with the next month between now and where the moon will be this time next month, as you would say. As I said, not exactly that, but that's the sort of thing I use, and we'll see what happens with that. Let's pull out the first card though, and let's just establish what's been going on in this relationship of yours. I suppose over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so since you posted in the 100% free psychic readings group on Facebook, as at the moment. Let's just flip that card nice and slowly, not to disturb its energy, just nice and slowly there, nice and steadily. And as you can see, you've got the energy of the unicorn. That's it, I suppose, really a fair thing, a fair cop, as you could say, in the sense that it just represents good fortune and friendship. I always tend to think of that as more one word, just fortunate, really. Fortunate to have peers, fortunate to be in a peer group or a group of friends, etc., whatever. Sometimes the unicorn can symbolise creativity and magic as well. In this particular case though, and it sort of seems as if it's surrounded maybe by the heart chakra, a bit of throat chakra as well, communication going on there, and that's been the key to it. Nothing particularly bad, and if there has been anything particularly bad or negative going on, it will have been of your own making, of your own suspicions that have arisen through your own, I suppose, your own suspicious mind there, naturally. I want to just pull out the next card to see what's going on now, of course, because since you requested this reading, of course, things may have changed. So this, I suppose, is the immediate future, in a way, isn't it, from when you requested, but of course it's now. The Carduceus, news from afar, indicating that I always tend to focus on the healing, the healing aspect of that, in the sense of the snakes around the pole, and providing some sort of healing process. I got a sort of sense, I got a sort of feeling here as though the relationship is going through some form of healing process. Literally that. You've been fortunate to be friends with this person, not just sexually or physically attracted to that person, but also a friend. Maybe it may even be an old school friend. Even it may go back that while. You go back a long while. So I'm getting from it. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm getting from it. But nevertheless, right now it is nevertheless surrounded by darkness, isn't it? And there's always that fear that the Treasury, although providing the caduceus there, nevertheless, I always say that sparkly things, you know, things with a glint on it, a shine on it, etc., can show up in subdued light. You can sort of, it stands out more. I suppose a bit like how sound travels further at night time, and yet it doesn't. But it does in proportion to the noises and all the things that are going on in the day. It's just drowned it out, isn't it? And maybe that's why I'm getting that sort of feel from it, as if whatever communications there are going on right now, it can travel further, because it's like in a sort of nighttime scenario, in the sense it's, you may be travelling through the darkness more of a metaphorical darkness, of course, the darkness of the situation, the uncertainty, and of course maybe the bad feelings sometimes that there are there. And when there's a bit of why I sort of feel as though there's been a set-to just lately, I don't know. There's been like an argument or something like that, but nevertheless, the healing energies of the caduceus there has been there to remind you that that maybe there's somebody at a distance, not necessarily halfway around the world, but at a distance, in the sense of locally could be around the corner, whereas at a distance could be the next village or the next state or the next city or whatever it is. It's that sort of thing. It's not necessarily halfway around the world or another country. Could be another country, of course, I don't know. But in this particular case, I'm just getting that sort of communication, and I suppose that's what it's been about, communication there as well. There's always been the communication. There hasn't been so much a communication breakdown, and when there has, if there's only a time to pick a communication breakdown time, it's now, because that's when the caduceus is there to heal and bring things and put things right again, so that you can hear news from afar. Maybe if he's moved out for a while or what, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm certainly going to now pull out the next card to see what's about to happen. If negative, remember, it can actually be a positive thing, because forewarned is forearmed, isn't it? And yet at the same time, it can be a warning in the sense if it's positive, because beware of complacency and taking it for granted. Of course, this too shall pass. In this particular case, it is positive-ish, in the sense of you will be safe from harm, as it says there with the shield, another item from the treasury of spirit there. You're just providing you with protection for the foreseeable future between now and this time, roughly next month, in the past 3 or 4 weeks or so. Usually a month, when the moon rotates and does one cycle, it's roughly about 27 point something days, isn't it? So it's that sort of time period. That's all I'm saying. I'm not it's not an exact science, but if I suppose you wanted to use the moon phases, then we could go in some respect with that. The new moon is on the 4th of May. That's when you could have initiated things. and of course it's around about the 7th. It's the 7th of May now, isn't it? So the first quarter, it's a strange thing, the first quarter at 1:12 GMT, UTC, whatever it is, and you might be 5 hours behind or something of that nature, I don't know. On the 12th of May, that will offer up an opportunity to heal. The first quarter is good for, they say, is good for planting crops and things like that, isn't it? And that would be a good time to heal. Maybe that's what's coming up next here in the next 3 or 4 days or so, isn't it? Also 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, usually 3 days behind, 3 days ahead. That's the sort of time you can use the phase of, so say if it's like, I don't know, 12, 11, 10, 9, so on the 9th, I suppose you start on the 9th through to the about the 15th-ish, something like that. There's such a thing as 15th-ish. The full moon, of course, the peak of magic on the 18th of May, 21:11 UTC, of course, 98765 might be 4 o'clock. So in the evening for you if you're 5 hours behind. I'm just assuming that that's where you are. I don't know where you are at all, but just UTC is Greenwich Mean Time. Of course, we've got DST, Daylight Saving Time, at the moment. British Summer Time, as it's called, but that hour isn't added on because it's classified. All your classified stuff is done in UTC, isn't it, time wise? And then of course any time for banishing the old, if it all goes wrong, or banishing any negativity that's entered in to disrupt the relationship in any way, can be banished on the 26th of May at 16:33 UTC. So there's that scope there, isn't there, that you can use. So that's up to around about then. Maybe that's why you're protected in some way throughout that time, up to the next full moon or to the next banishing period, maybe. The next healing period, actually, isn't it? Because it's now between now and the next cycle, as it's where it is from now. So you could say up to the next first quarter or thereabouts, just before. That's of course assuming that that's an accurate sort of time period, but of course the moon phases are just rough guides to the energies that the moon provides on that particular phase. In this relationship situation of yours, the healing can commence now. I suppose you're getting a bit of a head start, aren't you, really? Where it starts on the 12th, but you've been given a kick start now on the 7th. So start around about the 9th, 10, 11, 12, so it'll start on the 9th. You've got 2 days to prepare yourself for whatever information you receive around about. Maybe that's when you'll be receiving that news from afar, or that news from whatever it is. The messages, the wings of the angel there, the wings of an angel. An angel is a messenger, and the wings symbolise the movement of healing maybe going on there, although in the darkness nevertheless. But of course one must travel through the darkness to get to the light, and between now and this time next month you will be safe from harm. So if there is any potential danger that you may feel you're in, then maybe absence makes the heart grow fonder, doesn't it, to some degree, and maybe that could be a key to it, and that will protect you from anything going so radically wrong that something happens. But of course what will happen, what will be, but we'll cast a shadow over this for now. Just for now. For you, these cards have spoken.